Welcome, everybody, to the Fall Line with Chaos and Company. We are here at Killington at the formerly known as Pro Jam, but now we're going with Summit Academy and Eastern Academy, right,
That's
Kathy?
Right. Absolutely.
And we're pretty psyched. We want to do a real quick one to shoot out. Angela and I are here with our CEO of the PSIA-AASI Eastern Region, and one of the biggest events almost in the world that happens every year. We have almost 700 ski pros and snowboard pros here, correct?
Absolutely. Starting over the weekend with our mini academy and then this week-long event. Between our members and staff, it's about 670. It's by far the largest event in the United States. Oh. And we know that the U.S. organization of 35,000 members is the largest organization in the world. So I have to believe, short of Interski, I can't imagine there's another event this size happening. Like I said, except for Interski, which happens every 4 years, which is about 1,500 people. So that's a little bit bigger than us, but it's pretty impressive what we're able to accomplish here in December in Vermont. It's awesome.
And it was cold yesterday.
Yes, it was.
It was cold. I know some members went in the afternoon and said, I'm not going to ski, and they actually went and got boot heaters. Nice. It was that cold.
Yeah. It wasn't really warm today.
No, it was not. But it felt like really warm today compared to yesterday.
Yeah. There was no wind today. That helped a lot.
No. And we got to thank, Killington, that's pretty awesome for Killington to host us here for this big event. That's got to be a tough and a pretty big partnership.
We are so appreciative of our partners, all of our partners all across the region who support us by providing space for us to be, by offering lift tickets for our participants. It's huge. We could not do what we do without their support. Killington in particular, Mount Snow for our management seminar, these two events are key to kicking off our season for success, and we are so grateful to that partnership. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool. So what are you excited about for this season, and what are you hoping our members take away from this season?
That's a good question. I'm super excited that, looking out the window, right? We've got snow here in the east, which is way different than the rest of the country right now. Yeah. And so we are so lucky to be able to kick off the season, have a great Christmas holiday week. People are getting trained. I'm hearing that new hire training staffs are bigger than they've been in a couple of years. Mm-hmm. I think people are excited about getting out there, engaging with guests, and getting ready to train and have a great season out there.
Yeah, right on. Mm-hmm.
That's cool. And Kathy, you are the CEO, but you were one of the ed staff before that job, and still one of the ed staff. We have to remember that. You come to ed staff training with examiners and crew and do all your stuff there. Can you talk a little bit, because I know you really value the ed staff and what the crew does, and it's pretty much the product that's put out there.
Well, we wouldn't exist without our staff, right? That's what our product is going out there and creating amazing learning experiences for our members so that they can bring those experiences back to the guest and ideally get more guests who want to continue to participate in the sport that we love so much. That's what it's really all about. And we have a couple of tryouts coming out this year, so we're looking for staff, and obviously we're looking for people that when we watch them slide on snow, they're inspirational. That's a really important piece of it. But we're also looking for those people skills, the people that are really exceptional at building trust and creating that connection. And how do we do that? How do we expand that, not just within our organization, but to all instructors, to the resort community, so that those guests come and they say, hey, this was a great way for me to spend my time and money. I want to keep coming back to sliding on snow. And so our staff is what does that. And, I think most people realize, I joke that it takes 5 years to grow an examiner. Right? That's once they've made our dev team. And so before that, they've spent a decade or more refining their craft, getting all their different levels of certification. The people on our staff, the depth of knowledge that they have, that they bring to any program that they put out there is so extraordinary. And I know when I was coming up through the ranks, you get that level 2 and you're thinking, oh, I'm the bomb, I know what I'm doing. And then you get the level 3 and you're like, okay, I've reached the pinnacle. And then you get on dev team and you're like, holy cow, I don't know anything. How did I get here without knowing any of these things? And I think for a lot of our members, they may not realize how much more there is to learn and grow.
Cool.
Yeah, and that vantage point is funny how that changes. And just for perspective, Kathy was my dev team coach.
Yep.
right? So yeah, we've been growing together for a long time. Similarly to how you spoke about the ed staff and working with ed staff to create inspiration and create new ed staff. Can you talk about working with member schools to help them inspire their staff so that in turn they can inspire their students?
Yeah, well, our member schools, like I already said, are so important to this equation, right? And I, Dave, you were there when I applied for this job,
Yep.
and I talked about my vision,
Yep.
and my vision hasn't changed. This is my 5th winter, and still my goal is that I want more of our members to take education events, not because they have to, but because they want to, because it's amazing. And I want, maybe not every instructor can belong to our organization. Maybe it just doesn't make sense. And I totally get that. But I want every instructor to look at our organization and be like, I want to be a part of that. I want to learn from them. I want to engage with them. And that's such a key piece. And then the third piece of that is looking at our industry partners, the people that we're working with out on the Hill, and making sure that they understand what we're bringing to the table, the value of our certification and education, and how we're so integral in engaging the guest and bringing them back to the organization. And so that member school piece is key. And so some of the ways that we're helping to support them, we have some great scholarships. The deadline for that's coming up January 7th. It requires a director nomination in most cases, but for that promising snow pro, that instructor that just is brand new to this and knocks it out of the park in Christmas week, and you're like, I need to get them their level 1 certification. We've got some certifications to help with that. We've got some reinstatement scholarships. We recognize getting back into the organization can be a challenge. And so do you have that employee, if you could just get them back in, they would be that leader, that trainer, they try out for our ed staff. So we've got a scholarship to support that. We've got our futures camps, which Dave runs. And our women's performance camps that are all designed to help with that next level of leadership, the trainers, the folks that are coming to our organization. And then last but not least, we do a member school scholarship, which I think is so important because the only criteria is that one of our members of our staff can't be in their employ. And we have so many schools in our region that don't have the benefit of having somebody on our ed staff working for them. So this is a way to get them some funds, to bring some people in, to help with dues, to help send people to events, whatever it's going to take to help them become more engaged and supported.
Cool.
And I'd love to do more, right? We just got to...
Yeah, what's the dream? Because I know when you came in and applied for the job, this is the dream job. This is the dream. And you had the things like you talked about, those were in there that you wanted to do. Have you thought of some things that like you have kind of that dream now of something that was added after being in the job that you love? I know there's constraints and things, but like what's the dream if there was no constraints?
Well, if I could dream, like how could we get Michaela Schifrin to be a member of our organization when she retires, right? Because she just exemplifies that training culture. The way she approaches her development, I just think would resonate so well with so many of our members. And then I also know that some of our regions are struggling. There's some Department of Labor regulations that are making it harder for 14 and 15-year-olds to work. And so I've been working with NSAA and Dave Bird there, and also Ski New Hampshire, Jessica Keeler, to try to see if we can get some of those regulations changed, get the interpretation changed that makes it easier for 14 and 15-year-olds to get into our organization. Because you guys know this, you've been doing it forever, but the life skills we develop by being a member of our organization, problem solving, risk management, communication skills, those are all skills that they're going to carry with them for their entire lives. And we have a chance to do that. And when they can't get that opportunity because of a weird interpretation of a rule, that makes me sad.
Yeah, because that has been a tough thing.
Those are my wish list. If I could accomplish those two, I'd be like, this is amazing. But in reality, if I had a legacy, I would like it that more people within our region want to be part of our organization, that they see us as a partner, as a welcoming community, a group that we want to be engaged with. And so right now we've got 50% of instructors are members. If I could grow that to 75 or 100%, I would be extraordinarily proud of that.
That would be cool.
Yeah. You talked about those life skills, and it just reminded me a lot. And we have been doing this a long time, 25, 30 plus years. And many of those years I was a school teacher, and people assumed that I brought things from my experience as a school teacher into this job. But really, it was the opposite. My school teaching was more informed by this than this was informed by that.
Absolutely.
So the skills are invaluable. This is a bit of a shift of the gears for a question. This is about national alignment, national process alignment. I spoke with my group today about that, and there's some familiarity, but gave them some more details. They're very excited about the transferability of the credentials, the consistency across the country, and the Penn State relationship for outside validation. What was very exciting to them, and what that brings professionally. And the question is this: May of 26 is a deadline, and deadline maybe isn't the right word, like milestone or landmark, because there's still work after that. But when we look ahead to after May of 26, when we've got the certification process alignment part of that wrapped up, what do you see next? Like, where do you think we'll start to focus energy after that?
Yeah, well, I'm sure we're going to continue to do quality assurance, and so we're going to continue to refine. Anyone that thinks that it's going to be the be-all, end-all in May of 2026 is they're probably not thinking clearly.
It's not.
But what I'm hoping for is that we have invested a ton of energy into this project, a lot of time and talent across the whole country, which has been amazing because the alignment has all the great things that you just listed. But the other piece of it is getting people to think about this at such a deep level has made us stronger at what we know and what we do. And I think that that's a really important benefit of all of this work. What I would like to do is, once we get to this alignment piece, is I'd like to take a little bit of that talent and focus more on education piece, right? And so Dave, you and Chris or somebody's, maybe it was Angelo, is doing movement analysis in that beginner novice zone. And for so long, beginner zone was like fore aft balance and where your hands were. Right? And then you got to level 2, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, I need to do movement analysis. I need to understand this. And so really starting to improve our skills at that level 1 in that beginner novice zone to understand how the skis and boards interact with the snow, I think is crucial. I think developing more adaptive education, because, as Mike Ma has said in the past, every lesson is adaptive. And so can we provide more education there that's going to inform our members so that when people show up in their lessons, whether they've got a vision problem, a hearing problem, they've got a hip replacement or a knee replacement, or maybe they just tweaked their back before they showed up, right? But all of those things are going to require adjustments. And so how do we deal with those, or some of the emotional things, or the processing pieces that people show up with? So that's another key place. I think we have a big opportunity for education. I wrote some notes. What were the other ones that I was thinking of?
We get her thinking,
you made me
Angelo.
write notes.
We got her thinking.
Right on.
Where did it go? The e-learning, the MA at the beginner zone. How do we support our schools with limited access to training? What can we offer out to them to help with their new hire training, to get them up to speed? And then also, how do we support that next group of leaders? And so looking at some leadership development. What does it mean when you become a supervisor? What's it mean when you become a manager? Those types of skills I think we can help support. And then the last piece of it is I would love to see how we support every member in their unique journey. And so right now as an organization, we're investing a lot of time and energy in improving our IT systems. It's not very sexy. It's not very exciting, right? But our system that we have right now does not let us understand who our members are and what their needs are. And so that makes it really difficult to create programs and pricing and discounts and things like that that make our things accessible for members, whether they're that 14-year-old part-timer, or whether they're a member of the national team and who are doing this full-time 365 days, they're following the snow around the world. And we need to be able to support all of that But right now our systems don't help us to do that.
Yeah. And you're that lifelong learner. You just last year did your level 2 in Tele, and I remember back to when you and Allie Spalding were doing the level 1 for Tele, calling me on the phone. I was driving somewhere, and you're like, "Where are the answers to this again? We can't find them. We've been searching. What does this mean?" But you have. I mean, that was the journey. Like you did level 2 last year, but it was level 1 before that. You didn't just go to the level 2, which a lot of folks did.
Yeah.
You wanted to go through that system. Can you just talk a little bit about that and why you chose to, like, I want to do that certification and what it means?
Yeah, I mean, we do have the option when you get those higher level certifications to just kind of go in at those higher levels in
Right.
different disciplines. And I would encourage people to go back to the basics. That's the foundation. That is going to set you up for success in these other things. And you're going to learn something in no matter what situation you put yourself in. And so for me, part of it is representation matters. And so I think I've heard that if I can show up on telegear, or if I go out on cross-country gear, or that matters. This year I bought a snowboard setup.
I heard that. I saw the post on Facebook.
There's no pictures yet. I don't know if there will ever be pictures. It's been 20-something years since I've ridden, and it was. I've got a lot of empathy for our beginners because I was terrified. And that's part of what putting yourself in these other situations does. But looking for those linkages across disciplines, across things, those near and far transfers, I think that makes us a better educator, and that's why it's so important to me to keep exploring those different things.
Yeah, we can't forget Angelo. He did the level 3 last year.
He did.
Yeah, so both of you went into
Killed
that
it.
and went through the process and had to put some training in. Angelo's
A
putting
lot.
some training in now.
Well, and to Kathy's point about going back to the foundation as an alpiner, like getting the inside femur up toward the armpit to allow the core to move across the hill. Like in telemark, it's the exact opposite.
Yeah.
And if I had tried to jump into a higher level of telemark, I wouldn't have been as successful. I'm glad that I went back down to the foundation and started there. That was a very real piece of that development.
I totally
So
agree.
I think you're going to be on your telegator tomorrow afternoon, aren't you?
I am, yeah. I got freed up from an elective tomorrow, so I get to go out with the tele crew, and I love doing that.
I plan on going out in my telegear tomorrow morning,
Oh,
hoping
awesome.
to hook up with those guys.
Sweet.
So,
Awesome.
and I was at Lapland Lakes in the Adirondacks area of New York this weekend. We did a big 2-day education event for cross country there, classic and skate. Talk about a resort that's supportive of our organization. All of their instructors are certified. They support their dues, their certification, their continuing education credits. They have bought into the value of having certified members as part of their team, and are very supportive to us in running events. And so it was really exciting for me to talk to the owners, which is one of the big things about my listening tour, is getting out, talking to the owners, the GMs, finding out what is the things that we can do that's going to help them to be more successful, not just their instructors.
Well, you mentioned the listening tour, and my last question was relative to that. You interact with members a lot. You get feedback from forums that I know you review, and you go out and you visit schools and you talk to people. Based on things we do well as a region and areas where we could grow as a region, where do you see our development? Like what do we do well we could get better at, and where should we focus on improving some skills as a region?
Yeah, I think as a region, one of our biggest challenges is how do we support 500,000 square miles, right, from Maine all the way down to the Carolinas, and we. Do we do a good enough job? I don't think so. How do we figure out how to make that work? How do we find that sweet spot where what we're offering aligns with what people need and when they need it and where they need it? And that's definitely a place that we can continue to do better at. And then, some of the education programs that I talked about, I think will really help our members. Things that are accessible when they're not necessarily on snow, things that they can do at home when they got a computer in front of you. There's some great opportunities to continue learning even when they're not at the hill, and I think we should take advantage of those opportunities.
Sure.
So I got to ask, because I know you're the educator at heart and one of us on the ed staff. What are your personal goals outside of CEO? Like, what are your personal goals for this season, like skiing and teaching out there? Because you were out there, even on your listening tour, you're out doing some educational pieces. When you go on that, you're on the hill with a lot of their staff that comes out, non-members and members. So, like, I know you're thinking about something. You don't just go out for the season and go, oh, I'm just going to go skiing.
It's really important to me that when I'm out on the hill that I am representing our staff well. Mm-hmm. And so constantly challenging myself to make sure that I'm demonstrating contemporary movements, mm-hmm. that I'm talking about contemporary ideas, that I can back them up, that I believe in them. That mm-hmm. When I have a conversation about why do we promote leg steering in the beginner zone versus edge pressure, mm-hmm. I feel really strongly about that, and I can talk passionately about those ideas. And so that's important to me. This whole bit about getting back on a snowboard, mm-hmm. it's going to be a long time before I show up in front of a group here. I actually toyed with making an elective, teach the CEO how to slide.
That would have been good.
But I went out. I was too afraid even for that. So I need a little bit more work before I'm going to put that out there on the table. Yeah. But like I said, the representation matters. I think our members appreciate it when we can show up and say that we understand what they're talking about and what mm-hmm. they're going through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you've done that this week. I mean, you've been out on the snow.
Yep.
I've seen you on skis, and the rest of the staff. I think Carrie was out there.
Yep.
I'm not sure. Has James been out? Because James usually is out there.
Yep. James and Jody and Karen were all out.
Cool.
And I think it's super exciting that our staff basically all get out on snow. Mm-hmm. And so they understand. Many of the people on our staff are teaching on weekends and holidays. They get what it's like to be a member who's got that full-time desk job and then is making it work on the weekends. They have aspirations. Thessaly, who does our accounting, bookkeeping, mm-hmm. payroll stuff, she's working towards her level 2. Yep. Karen's got aspirations to get better in the moguls. Mm-hmm. So we're all constantly growing.
And this is super cool to do this, to sit down quick, because all of us just came from the national team talk, because there's stuff going on all week. If people haven't been here, I mean, it's busy. It's not like one night that's out. So we're like, you have an engagement at 6:30 tonight, but things are going all week. We have tomorrow's our optionals in the afternoon. Mm-hmm. Usually all the groups go out for their dinner tomorrow night. Then Thursday have the sponsors in, and have the kind of the sponsor party, and the members get to go talk with them. Who are some of the sponsors that'll be here Thursday?
Who's going to be here? I know a number of the ski companies are going to be here. I know Head is here. Head's a brand I use, and they've made a nice donation for our fundraiser, which is great. Carve, the tool to help you figure out how you're sliding on snow. They're doing one of the optional sections tomorrow. They're going to be there. We did a really cool thing with a local company called Birdie Blue, which takes outdoor wear and then converts it into bags. Mm-hmm. And so we gave them a bunch of our old uniforms that were basically rags, and they've converted them into some really cool tote bags and fanny packs. And again, that's money. They're contributing a portion of every sale to our education foundation. So
they're terrific. Those bags are terrific.
Yeah.
Blizzard will be here.
Blizzard will be here. I think
Sarah's coming.
is going to be here. I think what's the new glove company? I can't think of their name.
They'll have to get on the website and find it. It's got to be on our website, isn't it?
Yeah. So there's the room is going to be actually quite full.
That's awesome.
So I think that's exciting. Tomorrow night we've got our annual membership meeting. Yep. And so we have several board members who are here, and chance to hear from our members what we can do, and so that'll be an important piece. Yeah,
so it's cool, and it's fun to do the podcast on the road. And Angela and I are usually at home in the Zoom room.
Yeah, roadshow. It's weird looking right at you.
You're right there, man. Screen. Yeah, so we kind of got the setup. It's a little weirder with the cameras. We got to get fancier, so one camera at each of us. But we'll get that down the road.
We need Bach over here so we can do angles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's fun to do these. It's good to. I think a lot of the members love to hear from folks, and so we'll. try to keep doing these as we're out there. But thanks for taking the time.
Well, I have to thank you guys for doing what you do. I spend a lot of time on the road,
Yeah.
and your podcasts are one of my constant companions. I love listening to what you have to say. I hear great things from our members. They're really digging what you're putting out there. So
It's good to hear.
thank
Yeah.
you very
Thank-
much. And if there's ways that we can help support you to continue to get your great messages out, please let us know.
Cool. That'd be awesome. Yeah.
I'm going to put in a plug too. If anybody listened to this and has a little bit of FOMO from not being here, or people who are here and are fired up about it and want something at the end of the season, get on the snowpros.org and check out National Academy at
Yes.
Copper this year.
Yep.
So that's another opportunity to get with a big mix of people who are all excited about being on snow and learning and getting better. So
Yeah.
if you missed this one, there's still more.
Well,
Yes.
and if we can make plugs.
Yeah. Oh,
we can do whatever we want.
We
It's
can do whatever we
our
want.
show.
So. We do them all the time.
This is our second year doing an online auction
All right.
because we used to have the raffle here,
yeah.
and we wanted to expand that out to all of our members so everybody could be a part of it. So we've got an online auction going on. There's a lot of things there that have been created by members of the staff, myself included. So some really talented people have donated things, and so that's out there until Thursday at 6:30. But two of the things that are in there is guaranteed paid admission to this event next year.
Wow.
And last time I looked, it was like $350, which is way below the cost of this
Yeah.
event. So if you want to get in here, get in there. Put your bid in. You don't have to worry about showing up on September 19th and being there at 1 o'clock. It will be booked and paid for, and you're set to go. So
Everybody gets queued up at that 1 o'clock, waiting to got to get in, and it's just boom into the system.
this thing sold out in 11 minutes this
Holy
year.
cow.
I think that shows what the experience is out on the hill,
Yeah.
what the ed staff's doing out there. We have an incredible amount of the team here, the national team,
Yeah.
on snowboard and skis.
Yep.
Yep.
'Cause,
This is our
yeah.
first year doing a summit academy for snowboarding. So we've got a snowboard team member out here for that, which is super cool.
Yeah.
Hope to continue that growing.
That's awesome. So, and we got to make sure we thank, because we'll see him this week. Blizzard Technical will be here.
Yep.
And also Nick won't be here, but Nick down at Nick's Boot Fitting.
Yep.
I know some people have even been going way down there, and they did it on the way up here to Summit Academy and Eastern Academy. I'm still on. I have that formally noted, but I got to get in that language of Summit Academy, Eastern Academy. But,
Nick set me up a couple of weeks ago. Nick,
Yeah.
this is going out to you. Those boots are perfect. Thank
There
you.
you go. There you go.
He is, man. We had the clubhouse there. We're going to have to make Paulie's going to have to make a sign, the Chaos and Company Clubhouse Hangout down at Nick's. Nick said he'd put it up in the back, so we're going to have Paulie make one of those
Right on.
for him down there. But cool. Awesome. We're going to end it there and try to shoot this out. And thanks, everybody, for listening. This has been The Fall Line with Chaos and Company.
Thanks, KB.
Thank you, everybody.